Okay, good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon, Ms. Melvin.
Thank you for joining me in reading of our book, our monthly book, Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 black women and the space race. Not just by hearing the title alone, what do you think this book is going to be about? Okay?
Like, I think the book's going to be about something like figures or something that's
Okay.
hidden.
Okay. All right, what about for you?
I think this book is going to be about these four black women are going to, it's like a segregation book
Okay.
where, for like how white people, colored people have different water fountains and the whites have other fountains, and I think it's going how they're going to like see how they're going to change it.
Okay, all right. Okay, is there anything that you notice about their clothing? Let's look at their clothing. What did you notice about their clothing?
They're going to be doing a lot of math. They got math on their clothing and learning stuff.
Exactly. Okay, last comment?
I think they're going to be like traveling
Okay.
in space and stuff.
All right, so let's see. Now, I want to show you something. Who knows what this word is here? What's this word, everybody? Perseverance. Okay, do you know what that means? You don't know what that means?
Yeah.
That means you don't give up.
Yeah,
You continue to do something. Exactly.
Have courage.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how hard it gets. And sometimes what you're trying to achieve may take a long time for you to achieve that. But you continue working on it. Now this whole story is grounded in perseverance, okay? So we're going to do something with this once we're done. Here we go. Hidden Figures. The true story of 4 black women and the space race. All right, Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Christine Garden were good at math, really good. That's a little different because women are normally not as good in math, right? So you see how things are changing? In 1943, the United States was at war, World War II. Dorothy Vaughan wanted to serve her country by working for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the government agency that designed airplanes. Having the best airplanes will help America win the war. Making airplanes fly faster and higher and safer meant doing lots of tests at the agency's Langley Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. Tests meant numbers, numbers meant math, and math meant computers. Today, we think of computers as technology, good, or machines. But in the 1940s, computers were actually people. Exactly. So back then, the people were the computers. Yes, not machines.
Smart.
Exactly. Okay. Like Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, and Christian. Their job was to do math. So that's what their job was, to do math. So we found out. So back then, computers were what? People. How has that changed today?
Because we actually got real computers.
Yes, we really have real computers nowadays. Exactly. Okay, because Dorothy was black and a woman, some people thought it was impossible for her to do a good job as a computer. She lived in Virginia, a southern state where laws were segregated or kept apart. Black people and white people, they could not eat in the same restaurants. They could not drink from the same water fountains. They could not use the same restrooms. They could not attend the same schools. They could not play on the same sports teams. They could not sit near each other in movie theaters. They could not marry someone of a different race. But Dorothy didn't think it was impossible. She was good at math, really good. She knew she was the right person for the job. She applied, and the laboratory offered her a position as a computer. Okay? Yes.
I noticed the poster right there where it says
Uh-huh.
"We can do it." That came from the poster on World War One.
Exactly.
Two.
Exactly. Okay.
And
And
that's when women had to like work like to build all the ships and everything, so the soldiers could fight in the war.
Exactly. At work, blacks and whites were kept apart. The white computers worked in one building, and Dorothy and the other black computers worked in a different building, in their separate office. Even though they worked on the same kinds of assignments, the black computers and the white computers used separate bathrooms and ate in separate lunchrooms. America won the war in 1945, but Dorothy stayed on the job, still trying to make airplanes faster and safer. By 1951, the Americans and the Russians were competing to see who could build the best planes. That meant more experiments and more numbers. Lots and lots of numbers. And more numbers meant the need for more computers. Good job. That's when Mary Jackson got a job as a computer at Langley. She worked in a group that tested model airplanes in wind tunnels. A wind tunnel was a machine like a huge metal box with a powerful fan attached. Mary put model airplanes in the wind tunnel and blasted them with air from the fan. This experiment helped her group improve their designs on the models before building full-size airplanes. Mary wanted to become an engineer, but officials said it was impossible. Most of the engineers at the laboratory were men, and to become an engineer, Mary needed to take high-level math classes, but she wasn't allowed to go inside the white school where the classes were taught. But Mary was good at math, really good, and she refused to give up. She got permission to enter the school building and take the math classes, and she earned good grades. Because she didn't give up, Mary Jackson became the first African American female engineer at the laboratory. Isn't that nice? See, perseverance pays off. Katherine Johnson was good at math and always asked lots of questions. In 1953, she applied to the laboratory for a computer job and was placed on a team that tests actual planes while they were flying in the air. Their research was used to figure out ways to prevent future plane crashes. In one of her first projects, she learned how to analyze turbulence, or dangerous gusts of air. No one knows how many lives her work may have helped save. Catherine wanted to help the group prepare its research reports, so she asked if she could go to meetings with the other experts on her team. Her boss told her it was impossible. Women aren't allowed to attend meetings, he said, but Catherine knew she was as good at math as anyone else, maybe better. So she asked him again, and again, and again. Catherine asked her boss so many times that he finally invited her to the meeting. Catherine was good at math, really good, and because she fought to be treated the same as the men, she became the first woman in her group to sign her name to one of the group's reports. Layla?
I think she really had perseverance. She kept on asking.
Exactly, she didn't give up.
Never did that.
Okay, all right.
Every day.
In the 1950s, the Langley Laboratory bought a machine computer that could do math faster than the human computers. At first, these machines made mistakes. Dorothy learned how to program the machines so that they got the right answers. She taught the women in her group how to program the computers too. So now she's a computer programmer.
Computer tech.
In 1957, Russia launched a satellite known as Sputnik into orbit around the Earth. The United States started building satellites to explore space, too. For years, the laboratory had used math to design airplanes. Now it would need math to create spaceships as well. The government decided to change the agency's name from the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy told Congress, "I believe that this nation could commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." A man on the moon, but the first step to getting a man on the moon was to send an astronaut around the Earth. NASA was going to need to hire more space experts and more people who were good at math. Really good. The people at the laboratory had worked together from morning to night to figure out how to send astronaut John Glenn into space and bring him back home to Earth safely. Katherine Johnson knew she could use math to help. "Tell me where you want this spaceship to land, and I'll tell you where to launch it," Katherine told her boss. Katherine Catherine helped calculate the trajectories or pathways that rockets travel through space. She had to plan Glenn's exact route from takeoff in Florida to splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. There was no room for error. Now, what would have happened if an error had occurred?
He would have failed in the middle
He
of the
would have
ocean.
died. Okay, good. No one was better than Catherine at solving these tricky math problems. Days before his mission, John Glenn wanted Catherine to double-check the machine computer's trajectory calculations to make sure it didn't make any mistakes. When Catherine said the numbers were correct, Glenn was ready to go on. On February the 20th, 1962, Glenn blasted off into space, circled the Earth, and made his way home safely. So he made it safely, right? Okay. Meanwhile, laws began to change so that black and white students could go to school together. Blacks fought for the right to sit beside whites on buses and to drink from the same water fountains. At the laboratory, black and white computers started working together in the same offices, eating at the same lunch table, and using the same bathrooms. Black and white moviegoers could sit next to each other in the same theater across the country. People started to think about ways to bring equality to all Americans. Okay?
You can see like all the people that's like that
That
gave
helped
up
us
the
change.
Oh yeah, you see that?
Rosa
Exactly.
Marshall, Rosa Parks,
Martin Luther King,
and
and
is that
Christine Dart was good at math, and she loved electronic computers. She started working at Langley in 1967. Christine wanted to become an engineer, and thanks to Dorothy, Mary, and Catherine, she knew it was possible. Eventually, she became an engineer for supersonic airplanes, planes flying faster than the speed of sound. But her first job was to help with NASA's mission to the moon. These ladies are really what? Smart. Really smart. Yes, perseverance. The people at the laboratory prepared for years to send astronauts to the moon, about 238,900 miles away from the Earth. Finally, on July the 20th, 1969, the world watched as the three men arrived at the moon in their Apollo 11 spacecraft. There's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, said astronaut
Neil Armstrong.
Okay? When he stepped onto the dusty surface. But it was also a giant leap for Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, and Christian, and all the other computers and engineers who had worked at the laboratory over the years. The moon landing was a success from takeoff to splashdown, but there was no time to rest. Once NASA landed astronauts on the moon, the people at the laboratory began dreaming of sending humans to other planets, such as Mars, or Jupiter, or even Saturn. They started to imagine hyper-fast space planes that could travel around the Earth at 7 times the speed of sound. The next adventure wouldn't be easy and would require lots of tests and lots of more numbers. But Dorothy, Mary, Catherine, and Christine knew one thing: with hard work, perseverance, and love of math, anything was possible. You see? That's all you need, right? That's all you need. Yes, yes, all you need. Okay? All right, that's it. Woo! And this will talk about the actual timeline of them. Okay? And then this here talks about, this is each person's biographies. It says meet the computers, okay? This is Dorothy Johnson Bond from 1910 to 2008. She died in 2008, okay? Oh, really? Oh, so she's been there however old you guys are, all right? Mary Jackson from 1921 to 2005. Okay, Catherine Johnson, 1918. She's still alive. And then you have Dr. Kristen Darden, 1942. She's also still alive. Alright? Yes, so ladies, that's Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 black women and the space race. Alright? One last thing. I want you to kind of think about, an obstacle you had to overcome in your life. Okay? How did you show perseverance and be successful? Think about it. What obstacle have you had to overcome? All right, so what you're going to do, you're going to grab one of these here and you're going to write it down. And we're going to talk about how perseverance helped you to overcome that particular obstacle.
I got pink.
You have pink? All right. Okay. right, so let's see. And then we're gonna add to that, what management skill did you use in order to get over that particular obstacle? Who would like to go first? Okay, we'll start with the birthday girl, okay? Okay, birthday girl, you go first.
I always have stage fright.
Stage fright? Okay.
And cause when I was like when we did the Black History Night, I was on stage and I was scared because everybody was coming.
But you did such a great job.
Yes.
Like for real. Okay, so that was one that she had to overcome, okay? Because remember, if you stick with it, okay, all right. So sweetheart, we're just gonna go in this circle. Are you ready? No? Okay. Layla, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, baby.
I had perseverance. I had perseverance when I had a show. I was scared because it was a lot of people. I got over it because I was thinking about it.
Okay, all right. I can't believe that. I'm just shocked at you ladies. Okay, next.
So, I had perseverance because one time I was doing a math problem and I was getting confused. So I was trying to solve it and I couldn't solve it. So I went back to my notes and to see what I did and I solved it over and over and I got it done.
Okay, very good. All right. Okay.
Alright, one obstacle I had to overcome was when I was finished with my STAR math test.
Mhm.
And I thought that I had a bad grade. And then I was like, it's okay because I can do it again. And then I found out I had a good grade.
Okay, well that's good. We're glad that you made a good grade. Okay. All right. Next.
An obstacle I had to overcome is stage fear, and cause there's like lots of times I had to like get on the stage and perform like for all the events in school and like for other events, and like I did speeches, and I had used perseverance to fight it by thinking about positive things instead of the negative things.
Okay, good. But you did such a great job. I would have never known that. Okay, go ahead, baby.
Okay, one problem I had to overcome is my fears of a lot of my hidden talents, and also with my work. I use perseverance to fight my talent, to fight my fears of my talents. I use positive, and I took deep breaths, and I ended it well.
Okay, good. Oh, wow.
Good one.
Good.
Good talent.
Okay, not that one. Okay. All right. Who's left? Okay, baby girl, it's on you.
I used perseverance when I first came to the school when I was in fifth grade. I was scared to make friends, and then a couple of days later, I made friends and I got used to it.
Okay, good. All right, lastly.
An obstacle I had when I had to overcome was stage fear,
Okay.
and I overcome it
Overcame it.
by positive things.
Okay. Okay, good. So ladies, if you don't take anything else, I want you to take this from these wonderful women here. That anything is possible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.